I am sitting here and I'm so honored to be with the publisher of Hotspots and executive producer to Hotspots Live, Mr. Peter Clark. Welcome, sir.
Shawn, thank you. It's so funny to be on this side of the camera. Normally I'm behind the camera shouting at you.
Of course.
Thanks for inviting me. I appreciate that.
Well, we have to have a very important conversation, and it's about the elections, which are this week.
Oh, yeah.
And there's so much going on in the society right now, our community, the country, and I just can't help but reflect and think about Stonewall, Matthew Shepard, all of the people whom really fought and died for us to have just the ability to exist with some sort of dignity. And now with this administration, I think that's all a problem. Peter, what are you most afraid of in this next up and coming elections?
There's a lot to be afraid of, Shawn. I'm afraid of the same thing that happened in 2016, where we're complacent.
Yes.
You know, you go back to the Orlando massacre and what happened after that, and how the community came together. And for years we talked about it, but right now we're going from one tragedy to another, and the news cycle seems to be less than 24 hours. You know, a few days ago we were talking about the packaged bombs that were sent to people like Debbie Wasserman Schultz and other Democratic supporters.
Attorney General,
our President Obama, Vice President Biden, so many others. And that news cycle didn't last for 24 hours. Yes. And then we're talking about the largest attack on the Jewish community in American history.
Yes.
And that's the news cycle. And it goes on and on and on. Mm-hmm. And the only thing that our president seems to be occupied with is the fact that the cameras are not on him and it's not about him.
And Peter, in the middle of the massacre and obviously the mail bomber, there was also two people that were killed by this guy. He could not get into an African American church.
Right.
And he went to a Kroger grocery store and killed two people. I mean, that violence, that hideous behavior, it's simply unfathomable.
It is. And there's a new bully pit, Shawn. And that bully pit has the seal of the United States president on it.
Yes.
Who would have believed in our lifetime that the biggest bully in our country is the president? And he's spewing hatred. He's the very same guy that said, "I'd like to punch him in the face." That's a quote. That's during his candidacy. You think he would have turned that rhetoric down? Now he's calling the media, and like us, enemies of the state. Are you kidding me?
Yes.
We love this country. We would do anything for this country. We would serve for this country. How dare you not allow us to speak truth to power? That's unacceptable. And that kind of hatred has people on the other side, these right-wing people who are on the edge, and some people who aren't necessarily emotionally stable, breaking out and living in their vans and creating pipe bombs or taking an AK-47 out to synagogues. And they think that's quite all right because the president kind of dog whistled.
Yes.
Sorry I mumbled there, but I'm
he validates it
furious with this. Yeah, and it's not like I don't even think it's a dog whistle. I think he just says go out and do it. He doesn't care.
Absolutely. He was just bragging about how he appreciated the senator body slamming the reporter.
Or he even does the gesture. It's sad. It really is sad. And the only thing we can do about this is simply one thing. Get out and vote.
Yes.
And if I hear one more person say my vote doesn't count, I'm only one person, I'm going to scream.
Yes.
Because we lost the last election because of the Electoral College. We got the popular vote. When I say we, the Democrats, who tend to be better suited for the vast majority of the LGBT community, more supportive. I'm not saying you can't vote for a Republican. Vote who you want to vote for. But vote for somebody who represents your values. Yes. And I promise you, if you're in our community, it's more likely to be a Democrat than it is a Republican. But get out and vote so we don't lose the college. We got the popular vote, but we lost the presidency, and that just can't happen again. Common sense needs to prevail, and we need to bring civility back to the White House
Absolutely.
and Congress. Where's Congress in all of
I mean,
this?
they're complicit with all of his actions.
They're not saying a word.
No.
They're not saying a word. From the very top to the very bottom and through the middle, the only person that stood out for the most part and was able to stand up against Trump was John McCain, and the poor guy passed away.
Such an American hero.
And he died as a hero and was not recognized by our president as a hero, which is really a tragedy. In the end, we can change this. We can make it better.
Absolutely.
We can turn this around. If the Republicans continue with this messaging,
Yes.
they're going to lose the House. They could even lose the Senate. If nothing else, our forefathers wrote the Constitution in such a way that we had checks and balances. You have Congress, you have the judiciary, and you've got the presidency. Right now, they're all rigged against us. And so his agenda will go forward. If we get the House back, at least we can have a balance. We can have dialogue again, and we can bring civility back to some level of government so that we can be proud to walk around as Americans and have all our voices heard.
That is so awesome. I'm more relieved and I'm more comforted just to hear your conviction, the power of your voice. The words are so important. Thank you very much for saying that.
It's my pleasure. Please get out and vote.
Absolutely.
We can do the right thing. It's really simple to resolve this, Shawn. We simply have to get to the polls and vote. This way we can take back the Electoral College, take back the House, and have civility so we can start talking to each other as it used to be.
Yes.
So that's all we ask for. Get to the polls, please. And thanks for having me here.
You're very welcome. Thank you, sir.